Daniel was never the type to believe in the supernatural. He laughed at ghost stories, rolled his eyes at vampire legends, and brushed off the idea of curses as silly nonsense. But all of that changed one night, a night that would haunt him forever. It happened at exactly 3 a.m., the hour people call the Devil's Hour. Daniel had been tossing and turning, restless from a long and stressful day. Just as he was about to drift into uneasy sleep, he heard it, the sound of scratching. At first, it was faint, like the brittle branches of a tree brushing against the window in the wind. But Daniel knew there was no tree outside. His apartment was on the 3rd floor, overlooking nothing but an empty street and an alley. The scratching grew louder, more deliberate, almost like fingernails dragging across glass. He sat up, heart pounding, straining his ears. The room felt colder than it had minutes before, his breath fogging faintly in the dim moonlight. Daniel turned toward the window, and that's when he saw it. A figure. At first, his mind refused to believe what his eyes showed him. Someone, or something, stood outside the glass, staring in at him from a height no human could possibly reach. Its face was bone pale, eyes glowing with a faint red shimmer that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his own heartbeat. Its lips twisted into a smile, revealing long, pointed teeth glistening in the moonlight. Daniel's stomach dropped. He wanted to scream, to leap out of bed, to do anything, but his body locked in place. He tried to rationalize. Maybe it was a trick of the light, or maybe he was half dreaming. But then the figure leaned forward and whispered, so softly it might have been in his own head, "Let me in." Daniel froze, his throat tight, his skin crawling with terror. The voice wasn't human. It was too smooth, too deep, and it seemed to reverberate inside his chest. He pulled the blanket around himself like it could shield him, squeezing his eyes shut. But when he opened them, the figure hadn't moved. It was still there, watching, waiting. Then, the scratching stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Daniel's ears rang with the absence of sound, every nerve in his body screaming that something was wrong. And then, the door to his bedroom creaked open. He snapped his head toward it. His apartment door had been locked. He knew it was locked, yet now it swung open slowly, revealing the pale figure standing in the doorway. Daniel's blood ran cold. Somehow, impossibly, it was already inside. The creature stepped forward, impossibly tall, its shadow stretching across the floor like a living thing. It made no sound, no footsteps, no breathing. The air grew colder with every second, as if the warmth of the room was being sucked out. Daniel could see it more clearly now. Its skin was the color of ash, stretched tight over sharp cheekbones. Veins crawled beneath the surface like black rivers, and its eyes, those glowing, inhuman eyes, never blinked. It tilted its head, smiling wider, baring its teeth. Daniel forced his hand toward his nightstand, reaching for his phone. But before his fingers could touch it, the creature vanished. In less than a blink, it was beside the bed. Daniel gasped, his chest tightening, as if all the air had been stolen from the room. The vampire leaned close, its face inches from his own, and Daniel smelled it, the metallic tang of blood on its breath. "I've been watching you," it hissed. Daniel's body trembled. He remembered the strange feeling he'd had the past few weeks, the sensation of being followed at night, the fleeting shadow he'd catch out of the corner of his eye, the gnawing dread that something lurked just beyond the light. He had brushed it off as paranoia. Now he knew it hadn't been his imagination. The vampire pressed him down with a strength that no human could possess. Daniel struggled, but it was like fighting against stone. The creature's eyes locked onto his, glowing brighter, pulling him into a trance. His limbs grew heavy, his will slipping away, as if his life itself was being drained. The vampire lowered its mouth toward his neck. Daniel felt the razor-sharp tips of its fangs graze his skin. He wanted to scream, but his voice wouldn't come. Just as the creature opened its mouth wider, ready to bite, Daniel's phone lit up. The alarm blared through the silence, shrill and piercing. The sound shattered the trance, and in an instant, the vampire recoiled, hissing in fury. Its face twisted into something monstrous, less human, more beast. Its eyes burned brighter as it retreated into the corner of the room, and then, in a blink, it was gone. The room was empty. The window was wide open. The air was ice cold. Daniel collapsed off the bed, gasping for breath, trembling uncontrollably. He stayed awake until sunrise, unable to close his eyes, afraid of what might return if he did. When morning finally came, Daniel forced himself to investigate. His heart pounded as he stepped to the window, every muscle screaming at him not to look. On the frame, etched deep into the wood, were long claw marks, 4 deep scratches that no human hand could have made. Worse still, on the glass itself, faint but unmistakable, was the outline of a handprint. It was blackened, scorched into the surface, as if burned there. Daniel packed his things and left that apartment within the week. He didn't tell the landlord why. He didn't tell his friends the truth. Who would believe him? All he said was that the place made him feel watched. But even after he moved, the horror never truly left. Almost every night since, Daniel has woken up at exactly 3 a.m. Sometimes he hears faint scratching at the window. Other times, he swears he sees a figure in the shadows, watching him from the corner of the room. And no matter where he goes, he can't shake the feeling that something is still following him, waiting for the moment he forgets. The moment he lets his guard down. And when he lies awake at night, staring at the window, he remembers the words whispered to him in the dark. "Let me in." Thank you for watching this terrifying story. If you enjoyed it and want more chilling tales, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more horror stories that will keep you awake at night.